and stories that have made it through the newspaper. So welcome on board to Trends in the Papers on mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. We'll bring to the fore some major happenings, stories and situations with perspectives by our in-house analysts. As usual, Said Fawad will be joining us and we're giving several perspectives and giving updates, profound, holistically looking at those stories this beautiful morning. My name is Mᴏᴜ Akinyosoye. Once again, Trends in the Papers. Join us live on Facebook and YouTube. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can actually enjoy an audiovisual experience. Mainland 98.3 FM is the handle on YouTube and also on Facebook. You can also listen live via our website, mainlandfm.com, and you get to listen to us live there. You can also listen via Radio Garden, regardless of your location, actually. And don't forget, you can interact with us on our social media communities on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and even on TikTok, and definitely you get update from us firsthand. Follow, like our comments, like our post rather. You can also comment and stir up conversations right on our social media platform. So you're welcome. Trends in the Papers on mainland 98.3 FM. Once again, Said Fawad will be joining us shortly, and then we can, without further ado, just thread through the pages and peruse the pages of our newspapers, major newspapers, The Punch, The Vanguard, and The Guardian newspaper. Good morning, Fawad. Good to have you.
Good morning, Lady Mo. How are you doing?
Good morning. I think it's not too late to say Happy New Month to you. We are just, having conversation.
It's the third day of the month, though. Are we still
Yes, now, when we greet ourselves Happy New Year, at least even till the end of January, we still say Happy New Year now.
Happy New Month, then. Or
Right.
maybe we should just Happy New Day.
Happy, well, all joined. But anyways,
Happy New Session.
Welcome to Trend in the Papers, Fawad.
Thank you for having me.
And in case you are not aware, the 6th and 9th of June have been declared by the federal government a public holiday for the Eid al-Kabir. And I think it's either I relocate to Fawad, it's either you permit me to relocate to Kano, because Kano is giving 2 weeks holiday for public schools, public and private schools for the Salah break. When I saw the reports, actually, what came to my mind was the reports we had in March during Ramadan as well, where we had Bauchi, Kebbi, Katsina, and Kano. Same Kano gave 4 weeks. Yes, four northern states giving 4 weeks of holiday, and people asked questions about how will you jilter education for a religious holiday or something like that. But Fawad, permit me to relocate to Kano. At least 2 weeks is enough for me to have a vacation. Okay. Fawad, you okay?
So I was to say that it's just ridiculous to see how some of these decisions are taken on what on the basis falls on such occasion. That's when you can even make Kano state for the schools. But if it is because of the Salah break that the governor has decided to give 2 weeks holiday to all the schools, then it's beyond ridiculous. It's Ramadan. About 5 northern states should do the same thing. 1 month holiday.
Yeah, 4 weeks. 1 month.
I'm sure that even in the Arabian land, that did not happen. Because again, they give schools for 2 weeks. Already it's a long holiday, Lady Mo.
Right.
Because again, Friday has been declared the holiday. The next Monday to holiday. So you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that's like 4 days of rest. Doesn't make any sense.
Anyways, Osun State House of Assembly too have given 2 weeks recess for their lawmakers.
They've not been doing anything before now, so that one is understanding. What are they doing?
Right, to relate with the community.
I even do 1 month. What are they thinking?
All right, thank you very much, Fawad. Did you see the video of an automobile dealer that actually was marketing one of his car in Abuja, and he was saying that this car, civil servants can't afford it, and the federal government servants can't afford a Mercedes and all that.
Was he lying? He wasn't lying now. Okay, because you mentioned civil servants. You should have said honest Nigerians. Yes, there are civil servants and there are civil servants. The extremely corrupt ones may be able to afford it. But those ones who are on 77,000 or whatever thousand minimum wage cannot afford it. And that's a statement of fact.
Right.
Was he lying? But because he mentioned civil servants, for the average Nigerian worker, it's just what it is. It's not just civil servants, so Nigerians, honest Nigerians, can hardly afford anything.
I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and the person was, trying to compare the amount he got. I think Toyota, and just giving me the comparison. I think 2 years ago, 2020, and what is going for the amount, 14 million and thereabouts, in 2025.
So the government is not happy. It's what the minister said.
Yes, they're saying that the Nigeria is going through pressure. Everybody is going to pressure.
Obviously joking and making mockery of poor Nigerians. He was not condescending. But he didn't. When he also said, "Oh, help yourself. Wherever you see food, just go and take it." He was not condescending. Sure, you've seen the video of the Senate president also singing recently.
Right.
Everything is turning around now that Tinubu is president. Have you seen the video? He says he's a comedian. Now you talk that one.
It seems to be no. But that's what people. That's what some people have said it to be. That's a very high sense of humor. Anyway, yes, right.
But it should. You see, but you shouldn't be joking about sensitive issues. That's what we are saying. You get serious.
Right.
Especially when it concerns issues that talks about the reality of poor Nigeria.
Right.
Let the poor breathe. As if it was that.
Fuad, all right. Quickly, perusing the pages of the Punch. Let's still boiling hot, especially when it comes to the opposition, the crisis, the unending crisis in the opposition parties. The Punch is capturing with the headline 2027 Wike's Tinubu endorsement sparks opposition firestorm. Right, opposition parties, the PDP. The NMPP, even the coalition of united political parties and others have election campaign. And during the media chat on Monday, which he had in Abuja yesterday, Wike described himself as a key asset in helping Tinubu win the 2027 election. And he also insisted that he was not involved in any anti-party activities and challenged the PDP to suspend him if they believe otherwise. Of course, response have been coming in. The Deputy National Youth Leader, Timothy, urging Nigerians to disregard his comments, saying that they are ready to, they would definitely, what's it called now? PDP chieftain, Bode George also have been talking back and forth. But really, Fuad, Wike has always been coming out, giving talks, talking here and there, talking about the fact that nobody can, criticize him or punish him out of PDP. That even said that he wants to lead PDP campaign in 2027. So at some point, he said that, and he's still showing support for 2027 from both members of the party and even other members of other political parties criticizing him. Do they still have justification for criticizing him if they can't take the step? So, do they still have that, moral justification to still criticize him if they don't have the audacity to suspend him or do something?
All right, let's look again because it keeps making the news.
Right.
We have no choice but to continue to talk about him, really. We had his regular media chat yesterday, and it was same of the same, really. I think in a word to describe him about his love, for the media to keep himself relevant, continue to put himself in the faces and the ears of Nigerians, even though he's not saying anything. Nothing. There's nothing he's saying other than the fact that, look, he's a man that just wants to feast on the moment and continue to portray himself as a political messiah, he said, but on the issue of not engaged in any anti-party activity, we can tell that to the Marine, because if you are a member of a political party, Lady Mo, and before again, if you listen to us on Sunday, we said it's a week is somebody that will say something now. In another minute, he has done 360 degrees completely.
Complete 360.
It's not a man to be trusted. The videos are there when he said that no matter what happens, anything that happens from this primary zone, at the end of 2023, I will be stick with the party. He now brought in the excuse of, hey, we're not talking about equity. And I've told you, when politicians talk about equity, fairness, and justice, it's not because they are committed to it, but openly campaigning for the candidate of another party. So what is that? That's not anti-party. It is what? It is pro-party. You don't understand. You're a member of a political party. You have a disagreement with your party. And you respect that in every group, in a situation like that, there will always be reasons to disagree. It's push for a political cause. So one would expect that even if there's a disagreement, you should not do anything that goes against the interest of your party. And that put some other people together, a group of governors who call themselves G5, and clearly worked against the interest of their party in the name of fighting the candidate Atiku at that time. So that is not anti-party activity. Oh, he talked about, look, the fact in the past, did they openly, for example, Ebola Ige, God bless his soul, that he referred to, that under WHSOᴜ was appointed Minister of the Attorney General of the Federation. Is there on record at any time where Bola Ige was working against the interests of his own party, the AD at that time? Do we have it on record that Bola Ige at any time ever campaigned against the interests of the party like Wike is doing? So here's a man who is boldly, so that's why we'll say anytime, let them suspend if they can. He knows what he knows.
Right.
And it's not for us to get worried about that. That is the problem of the PDP. On a more larger scale, Lady Mo, the coalition that keeps bothering themselves about what Wike is saying, I think they don't even understand their politics well. And I think they have to get serious. My own advice to whoever is putting up the coalition or the entire coalition is to ignore Wike completely. That is a man that has shown his own politics. He said he will be leading the campaign for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's not hiding it. So why is the coalition worried and bothered about him, about what he's saying? I think the coalition should be more bothered about how they are going to be able to put themselves together as a formidable opposition. How they are going to be able to align the different interests. So how are they going to align the interest of Atiku, Peter Obi, El-Rufai, every other person that will be, because these are different interests who are trying to work together. That should be their focus now, not what a Wike is saying. I'm sorry, politically, I think a Wike is not relevant to the point where the opposition should be having a sleepless night. Because he has, this is a man that has declared what he will be doing. And so for you to continue to feast on whatever he says, for me to work together, how do we align our interests to put the best foot forward, because it's going to be a tough one for them. In 2027, the president is not going to sit back and ensure that the coalition puts him aside. That's what they should be worried about. No, Wike, for me, who continue to say these things, it's a man that we already know. Is there anything new about Wike that we don't know anymore? Tell me one thing new that is new, so novel about Wike and his politics that should get us talking about it every time. Like I said,
to avoid flooding the conversation, page 2 in the Punch newspaper actually has that as the bigger headline on the front page of the Punch, and page 2 captures more details to that very story. Away from that, let's talk about the presidency and the federal government interfering and yielding into paying debt, especially in the power sector. The Punch is giving the report again that presidency moves to settle 2 trillion naira power debt is before the end of the coming quarter as part of the second Nigerian electricity supply industry stakeholders meeting 2025, which was hosted by the NERC, that's the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, and he said that the presidency recognizes the wide, and she also reviewed that alternative debt instruments are being explored due to the federal government's current fiscal constraints. But conversations have been on the commitment of this earlier in this, so several. But the question that have been raised is the commitment, the transparency in the commitment, and also the change that this will bring to the power sector.
We established the fact that, look, according to the federal government, the entire debt profile is about 4 trillion naira. The legacy debt is the one that we owed before this government came into power. So the extra about 2 trillion naira is when this government came into power. But what the generation companies are already threatening that they might be down into that could throw the country into darkness, complete darkness, blackout. So I don't think we have a clear idea as to how the government intends to pay this money. Are we borrowing? Is there a pool of money somewhere that we're looking into, to offset this debt? Because again, we can't afford to find ourselves in total blackout as a nation. About gives more impetus, gives justification to whatever. And I say justification because it is something they will continue to talk about. How they are supposed to pay for electricity. According to him, the government is still subsidizing. So whatever Nigerians think they are paying now, that they might consider too high as electricity bill. The minister has told you that, look, you are still not, it is not complaining. And people in band B and other bands, or people who don't even know the band they belong to. I think it's the bandless people. So I think we all have to put our minds into what the government is trying to tell us. That, look, they might still, because again, there will be a time they'll just announce that, because you have to offset 4 trillion, Nigerians have to pay more. But my own question on this issue has always been, where exactly, at what point can we see an alignment of what is called a cost-reflective tariff and a service-reflective tariff? Then all the operators in the entire value chain, who is doing an evaluation of their performance, who justifies whatever we pay to them? Could we have gotten it at a more affordable rate and a better service if there are no issues of vested interest have been issued? Those are all issues that the minister will never have. It will deliver to Nigeria. They talked about, the more money people pay, the better service they get. But there are people who are paying through their loans now, who are still complaining about the epileptic service they are getting from the power sector. A lot of issues of vested interest, corruption, lack of transparency. The question is who's going to bear rescue and save Nigeria?
Anyway, the modalities for how or clear updates on that, the head of the committee had said that they would make that available before the next quarterly NESI.
There's nothing clear as to how they are going to get money. They are just
stakeholders. Also from the Punch newspaper, we have this that says 7 states spend 190% of revenue on loan repayment. The 7 states spent an average of 190% of their IGR, that's internally generated revenue, on debt servicing in the first quarter of this year, which the Punch has stated as a development that report of Bayelsa, Adamawa, Benue, Niger, Kogi, Taraba, and Bauchi states show that debt service expenditure in each of the states exceeded their IGR, in some cases by even more than 300%, and the quarter surge in debt service costs, which rose by approximately 51% across the states reviewed. And also an observation that 7 Nigerian states spent a total of 98.71 billion naira on debt servicing in the first quarter of this year, marking a sharp increase of 33.4. Several further data in the Punch newspaper, not to bore us about the data and how that has been, the figures, so to say, in the Punch newspaper. But for what? IGR, their state IGR, and the FAAC allocation.
Well, again, the fact that you have more money,
right,
does not mean you have a good financial standing to take advantage of whatever money that has coming.
And
so
why
most
is
of these
that?
states means all manner of things have been done. The resources of most of these states. It talks about just about 7 states, but there are some other states too who are still battling all manner of debt. Some of them, they call it legacy debt too. The predecessors of some of these governors, or even some of these governors who are on second term. Because again, you go to most of these states, this debt profile cannot be justified with anything. It's not as if in those states there has been better infrastructure for the people. It's not as if there's better health care for the people. You will not find that the schools are look, when I say terrible, extremely terrible debt profile. If you go to the debt management office of most of these states, you understand what I'm saying. They show you some ridiculous loans that some of these states have collected with no clear indication of what was done with it. But the states would have to continue to pay IGR, and it means that they are even spending more than what they are generating internally to service this debt. So it's unfortunate whenever the president says, oh, I'm now giving more money to the governor, even though the conversation is whether the value as high as what is given now. For example, 800 billion under Buhari, don't you think it's better than 1.4 trillion they are sharing now in terms of value? At that time, cumulatively, the governors were sharing about 800 billion monthly. Now we are seeing about 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 trillion. But in fact, there's appropriation of the people's resources at the state level. It's corruption everywhere. It's crazy. I'm telling you. We see these things, we know these things. We pretend about it. We live, falsely about some of these things. We live in denial about it. But we know that the level of corruption in this country is not going to make anything get.
Well, thank you for that. That's a very story also in the Punch newspaper, and you have that on page 31. In the percent of revenue is also on page 31 in the Punch newspaper. Still trends in the papers on Mail and 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Join us live on Facebook, www.mailandfm.com. Side Forward is on the other side and giving perspective to the stories. Still from the Punch newspaper, we also have a statement credited to Kalu saying that Boko Haram, like a new statement, the former Abia State governor and senator to destabilize President Bola Tinubu's administration. He was actually saying this during an interview on Channels Television yesterday, where he claimed that the resurgence of the terrorist group was politically motivated and orchestrated by power-hungry individuals within. Pointed fingers at politicians, wealthy business people, and top-ranking civil servants, and described the insecurity plaguing Nigeria as a deliberate strategy by influential figures discontented with the.
I'll restrain myself. I'll just restrain myself.
Okay.
From saying some certain things. But when we're off radio, I will tell you my mind.
Right.
So apologies to our listeners that I might not be able to say how I really feel about this particular statement from the former governor of Abia State. For instance, recently he said some things that Nigerians like it free. Just want everything to be free. Of course, everybody even knows his records, his cases of corruption and all of that. So we know him. So, but let us even leave the messenger. Let's not even take the message so that we don't work ourselves up unnecessarily this morning. Because if we decide to talk about the messenger,
he's a politician.
I will say the best. But now they have started. We started another story, Abi. Now suddenly, he wants us to believe that Boko Haram element has been sponsored just to destabilize the government. I like the fact that it was truthful enough. To all news of Kalu, insecurity is sponsored, it's not real. Boko Haram, as we know it, the insurgency, as we know it in Nigeria, is a political tool to destabilize the Tinubu government. Okay, let us even accept that that is true. What then is the government supposed to do? If you understand what I'm saying. Even it's true that there are politicians, it's what Tonju Zokalo saying enough justification for the incompetence of the government to deal with insecurity in the country. But what is he trying to tell us? Oh, we should not say, it's unfortunate. So there are people who are sponsoring these people just to pay the government blood. Abi, is that what he wants us to have, some sponsors? And that's why governments all over the world also ensure that both you, the person sponsoring them, and you that are being sponsored are dealt with to keep the people safe and secure. You understand what I'm saying, Lady Mo?
Right.
The government of Jonathan and the people were saying, they were only sponsoring these people to pay me back. But they said that, no, you are the elements at that time. Okay, so they want us to now say, oh, no, it's because they are sponsoring people. You see, can these people just leave us alone? If they have nothing to say, must they come up every time to push? I'm sorry, I love that comes to mind. Especially from this messenger. This same messenger. Now Boko Haram started.
Then it was not as this strong, and now it's now stronger than it used to be. So okay, the information is given to us now. What are we supposed to do?
This, what Fᴜဃᴜ Sᴜʀᴜ is telling us now, as ordinary Nigerians now, what are we supposed to do with that information? The Boko Haram elements are being sponsored by the political class against the president. What are we supposed to do with that information? To pity the president, Abi? I say, yeah.
As the primary concern.
Are there other more serious people that have said something?
Page 16 captures that very story in the Punch newspaper. And also, quickly, from the Front Strike Grounds Court, page 12.
I thought they said they were going to suspend the strike. They still went ahead with it to suspend the strike action. That's the Chief Justice at what we call the CJN had intervened. I'm surprised they still went ahead with the strike.
Disruptions, page 18 captures that in the Punch newspaper. And also, Lagos APC Labour Party in turmoil as PDP eyes local government poll upset. For what? Page 7, June 12. We are back and forth in the several political parties. The APC is still having their issues, you know. The chapter being embroiled in crises as aggrieved members still continue to protest the primaries conducted by the party, which they had on May 10, 2025 at its Lagos headquarters.
Everybody will be fine at the end of the day. And I don't think for the APC, I know that finally a final list will be drawn and everybody will go and sit down. All the people protesting will just go and calm down eventually.
Right.
Maybe the list has not gotten to where it should get to. You know, people are still protesting.
Right.
But there will still be a final stroke that will sign everything and everybody will just be quiet. That part.
All right. The Punch has that. Also,
you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Say anything.
I know. No, I'm just there. Of course, I'm not saying anything. Okay. Also, from the front page of the Punch, we have federal government estimates 880 billion naira yearly for road maintenance. Well, page 32 captures that. When we talk about maintenance, actually, for what, you know, Nigeria is like, see if justification will be heard about the more estimates that have been earmarked for road maintenance. Also from the front page, IATA decries high airlines operating costs in Nigeria and others. Page 32 captures that. Quickly going to the Guardian newspaper and all of that. The Guardian is also capturing that over 1,000 still missing, 200 bodies recovered from Mᴏᴜ flood in Niger State. And there are several sides to that, actually, because questions have been asked about the fact that the grants that have been given so far, $10 million grant, 2.2 billion naira, despite receiving $10 million grant to address the gully erosion in Mᴏᴜ local government area precisely, and spending 2.2 billion naira on flood and erosion in 2024. That's last year. The Niger State government, this year's own in the state history, and reports have been given that no fewer than 200 fatalities have been recorded in the local government, that's Mᴏᴜ to be precise, since last Thursday's flood, with residents in the area fearing the toll may even double. Now we are getting reports that even over 1,000 still missing, and all of Niger State government is still pleading for intervention funds on X. And and then, you know, the every year, government at all levels, yearly, sometimes they even borrow loans from international organizations to address the predicament. In some issues, yes, and in some instances, some higher percentage of these allocations are expended on flood control projects. Sometimes the allocations even remain untouched.
To be expended. They spend on those things. They really spend on them.
On them.
Yes, now, because if on this same Mᴏᴜ, $10 million grant was
the worst so far.
The worst ever. And in some international reports, they are even saying that it seems we are managing the number of casualties.
Yes, week catastrophe flood in Mᴏᴜ, Niger State, raising concerns that government figures may significantly understate the scale of the disaster, saying that the government is understating number of the dead, the people that are being, you know, lost to flood in the area, trying to manage the number.
Because in one of the international journalists, that about 500 people are still missing. They are unaccounted for. More than 5,000 persons displaced. I think it's already confirmed. Where do you think the governor of the state, as we speak, the governor of Niger State?
What did you say?
Do you know where is the governor of Niger State now? Do you know where he is now? Despite all these things we are talking about, one of the international platforms says that despite the devastation and the catastrophe that has happened to Mokwa in Niger State, the governor has proceeded for Hajj pilgrimage.
It's for spiritual intervention. Add $10 million and $2.2 billion naira, and then you're having the worst. 2.2 billion naira, $10 million. Do you know what I mean?
And so the man has proceeded to Mecca, are still unaccounted for. Again, because we are already, if it is true that governor, because like I said, we're having reports, but I can see consistently reports that he is not in the country, because what we have is that he's only the deputy governor that has been visiting. He had to have cut short that trip and come back to solidarize with his people as the governor of the state. Don't worry, I will tell you what is on my mind after the show.
But for what?
Well, it's good that Nigerians are hearing some of these things.
And we're getting ridiculous amount of money, disbursed for this same cause. And after that, we're still getting, what exactly, I don't know. I'm just confused to solve a particular problem, and then we still talk about the same problem the next time.
NIMET is still warning.
Yes.
That a lot of our governors should get proactive, especially in the flood-prone areas. I remember the Alao Dam that flooded the entire Maiduguri and kept, caused a lot of casualties. Anyway, especially the north-central, southern part of, northwestern part of the country, the warnings are coming that the rains are going to come eventually. It looks a bit delayed. So, but what are we doing about it? What are these? Because all the ecological funds, some of the funds they've gotten from foreign donors, they just pocket these monies. I'm telling you. Some of them, they say they collect the money for erosion, gully erosion in communities.
All right. That very story is in the Guardian newspaper. Page 3 captures that. And also, just quickly, or perish, 97% of public varsities default in online visibility and transparency order, specifically giving Uniport, FUTA, and 12 others failing to comply. And also many institutions digitally backward. Which Bugaje is lamenting that despite the May 31 deadline issued to federal institutions to disclose key financial and institutional data on their website, that 70 out of the 72 federal tertiary institutions have yet to comply fully with the transparency order. And of the 41 major institutions sampled by The Guardian, that's only 3% fully complied, while 97% are yet to fully comply with the federal government directive aimed at promoting transparency and accountability.
Looking at the state of our education, tertiary education particularly. So let's just keep that till the time when we make it a major focus.
Okay.
The state of our tertiary education, the corruption in the system, the rot in the system. A lot that we're going to talk, on that. But yes, there are other stories I think we should talk about. Let's just leave that for another.
All right, just quickly because of our time, the front page of The Guardian also, NAF's ransom payment to kidnappers. That's an editorial story from page 12 in The Guardian. And also PDP chides AGF as Ocean government sues federal government for stopping council's allocations. Page 7 captures that. Is the allocation also meant to be?
They tried to withhold the local government funds in Ocean.
Yeah, so why this suing?
Like we discussed yesterday, the governor has been bringing money from other sources to pay local government staff. Now that the funds have been held for maybe 2 months now because of the crisis. You have to be fully inclined to be in charge of the local government, the APC people and the PDP.
And the PDP, yes.
Let's see what the court will say now that the case is now in court.
Okay, 16 years after meltdown, the business pages captures from page 15 that and George Treat's words. Page 6 captures that. And also Natasha's denial of sexual harassment allegation against me and afterthought, says a mockery. page 5 as that story. All right, and okay, 99 captures that. Fouad, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Come back for Mainland Focus. Really appreciate your analysis this morning. And thank you for joining Trends in the Papers. Mainland Focus will come your way shortly. Good morning once again.